The prehistoric murder that changed everything. Grug stands on rock. Fire burns bright. Tribe gathers. Silence falls. Grug speaks. HRHH. Listen, listen with ear and heart. Time before now, sunrise. Many times we live strong. We hunt mammoth. We share meat. We dance fire. We won. But then, dark came, not from sky, not from beast. Dark came from one of us. Ooh. Grog kill boar, not in hunt, not for food, not for bare tooth. Not for danger he kill, for want, for anger, for greed. No roar of lion, no strike of storm, but tribe shake. Earth shake inside chest. Boar dead, but more die in soul. Before Grog we fight only to live. Kill only to eat, but now, man kill man, brother spill brother. Fire burn bright, but heart go cold. We sit, we cry, we change. We say, no more kill brother. We say, no more take what not yours. We say, we not like beast with no rule. So we make words. We make signs, we make law, we make right and we make wrong. From blood of boar came something new, not good, not bad, just change. That night, we not only lose brother, that night, we find truth. That man strong not when he strike man strong when he hold back hand. Grug say this, let boar's blood not waste. Let fire remember, let child of child of child. Know that night everything change. Ugh, first death by man, not beast. Before the great shift in the tribe, before words like rule or wrong had meaning, the world moved by the rhythm of survival, the hunt, the fire, the cold. Life was simple, like the sun rising and falling. When the beast came we fought, when hunger rose we hunted, when storm roared we hid, and if one of us died it was the way of the world. The beast took who it took, no one blamed, no one questioned. Life was tooth and claw, and death came from the outside. Death was not something man gave to man, but then came a moment, sharp as stone, quiet as snake in grass. One of us, shaped like us, with breath and heart and name. He raised hand not to beast, but to brother. It was no hunt, it was not fear, it was not for meat or hide or fire. It was something new, something dark. The first time man became the beast. No lion, no saber, no cliff fall. A hand struck, a life ended. And the tribe stopped. We looked at the body, we looked at the hand that struck. We looked at each other. The ground beneath did not shake, but inside our bones the world had cracked. No thunder rolled, no sky fell, but something heavier than stone sat in the chest of every man, woman, child. It was not grief alone. It was something colder, the knowing, the terrible knowing. If one of us could do this, then all of us could. We had always known pain, known loss, but never this kind. This kind burned without fire. This kind did not come from outside the circle, but from the center. We feared the beasts in the dark, but now the dark had a face we knew. A voice we'd laughed with, hands we'd shared meat with, eyes we had trusted. The death was not just of the body, it was of the old way. Before we walked together, hunted together, lived as one. No man feared his brother. No woman watched her back near the fire. But now the firelight made long shadows, and in those shadows suspicion grew. The heart once open now guarded, the eyes once soft now sharp. We asked questions we never asked before. What made one do this? What could stop another? Where before we shared without counting, now we held close. Where once we gave freely, now we watched who took. Something ancient died that day, not just bore, not just breathe. The way we saw each other changed, the old trust cracked like dry bone. The world that was before, wild but honest, was gone. The beast outside had always been enemy, but now the enemy had a name we knew. This was the first death not by beast, but by hand like our own. It was not about survival. It was not about the hunt. It was not about the cold. It was choice. It was want. It was man turning inward. The first time the fire of anger burned hotter than the fire for meat. The first time the threat did not growl from the woods, but walked into camp and sat by the fire. Murder born from greed, not survival. Long before the change, all killing had a reason. A lion pounced because it was hungry. A spear flew because the belly cried for food. Blood spilled when the tribe had no choice. When survival stood on the edge of the cliff, everything had a balance. Life took life only to continue life. When we hunted the mammoth, we used every part. Meat for the fire, bone for tools, skin for shelter. Nothing wasted, nothing taken without purpose. Even in death there was order, there was need, but that day was different. That killing had no hunger behind it. No beast chased us. No cave needed defending. Grog did not strike boar for food. He struck because of something new, something inside, something that lived in the heart, not the belly. It was not fear, it was not defense, it was want. Grog wanted what boar had, a better spear, a place near the fire, a look from a woman, a feeling of power. It was not survival, it was greed. Before that day, we did not know this kind of death. We did not understand that man could want more than he needed, that he could kill not to live, but just to take. That hand made to hunt, made to build, could also destroy without cause. We saw wolves fight over meat. We saw bears growl at each other, but they never killed just to take. Not like this. This was not wild. This was something else, something colder. The tribe did not understand. We stared at Grog and saw no beast, no stranger. We saw one of us with red on his hands and nothing in his eyes. Not fear, not shame, only fire, the kind that burns inside, the kind that spreads. After that, we all felt it, that fire, that danger. Not from the outside world, but from within. We began to question, to watch, to measure. No longer did we believe every man would do right. We began to think, if Grog can want too much, maybe others can too. Maybe I can too. The heart grew heavy, the world grew thin, and where once we shared the kill, now we counted who had more, who sat closer to fire, who held the better stone. The balance of need was broken. Now there was desire, now there was greed. Tribe shaken, trust broken when boar fell. The silence that followed was louder than the thunder of mammoth feet. The tribe gathered around him, not with anger, not yet with understanding, but with stillness. Faces once open and warm were frozen. Eyes darted between the body, the blood, and the man who caused it. Before this, our danger had always worn teeth and claws. It had come from the wild, from the dark places beyond the firelight. But now, danger stood within the circle. It breathed like us, it spoke like us, it knew our names. Trust, once thick like the hides we wore, began to thin. We had never needed to question who stood beside us. When the hunt called, we followed. When the cold came, we huddled close. The tribe had always been many, but moved as one. Now that unity cracked, the wound was deeper than what showed on Boar's chest. It was in the minds of those who watched. It spread through the fire circles and into sleep. At night, when flames flickered and shadows danced on cave walls, we no longer saw only stories. We saw threats. We saw hands that might grab, stones that might strike. Before, every back was safe. Now, we glanced behind. Every word held weight. Every silence felt loud. The rhythm of the tribe, once steady like the drumbeat of feet on the earth, began to stumble. No one said it, but we all knew it. Something was broken. We began to ask, who can be trusted? Who watches while we sleep? Whose hands are still clean? The questions clung to us like smoke. Even the children played different. They hid more. They looked over shoulders. The joy of the game became survival. Pretend hunts turned to pretend fights. The innocence, like Boar's life, had been taken. We started to sit farther apart. Some spoke less. Others spoke more, too much, trying to cover their own thoughts. The fire no longer just gave warmth. It became a wall, a border. Who sat near the center? Who sat at the edge? We began to notice. We began to count. Trust was no longer given freely. It had to be earned, and even when earned, it could still break. The tribe was still together, but something inside had changed, something silent, something deep. Birth of rules, right and wrong after Boar's fall, and the silence that followed. We knew things could not stay the same. The tribe sat by the fire, but no songs came, no stories, just the crackle of flame and the sound of thinking. Heavy, slow, unsure. Before, we needed no rules. The world had its law. Eat or be eaten, hunt or go hungry, share or the fire goes cold. We lived by what the earth gave, by what the sky allowed. But now, the world inside the tribe was no longer wild. It was uncertain. And uncertainty brings fear. Grog's act made us see the need for something stronger than strength, something clearer than instinct, words, boundaries, signs. What once was unspoken now had to be spoken. What once was natural now had to be taught. We began to shape meanings. We pointed to what was done and said, "This is not good." We pointed to what should be done and said, "This is the way." Not for beasts. Not for hunger, for us, for man. A line had been crossed, and now lines had to be drawn. The elders, those with the gray in their hair and fire in their eyes, began to speak slow, not just about hunting or fire, but about behavior. What is right? What is wrong? Why one should not strike his brother, even when angry? Why wanting too much leads to taking too much, and how that taking breaks the tribe? These were not stories of animals or skies. These were rules born from blood, not from stars above, but from the pain inside. We marked stones, we made gestures, we carved signs near the cave mouth to show what would not be allowed again. It was not enough to feel shame. Now there had to be memory, a reminder that man can be more than instinct, that fire can warm but also burn. We needed to teach the young what happened, not to scare them, but to shape them, so they would know the world is not only what is, it is what we allow it to be. Every eye became sharper, every hand more careful. When words broke peace, they were stopped. When hands reached too far, they were pulled back. The tribe watched itself now. We had become our own watchers, our own judges, not because we were wise, but because we had seen what happened when no one watched, when no rules stood, when man forgot who he was supposed to be. Man learns strength is restraint. The day Grog raised his hand against Boar, we saw something terrible, but from it, we learned something powerful. We always thought the strongest among us was the one who brought down the biggest beast, who threw the farthest spear, who roared the loudest in the face of danger. That kind of strength was what we honored, what we followed. But that day showed us another kind of power, a quieter one, a harder one, the strength not to strike. When Boar took the last strip of meat, or sat closer to the fire, Grog could have spoken, could have stepped away. But he didn't. He let the fire inside him speak louder than his mind, and because of that, Boar's breath stopped. We saw that strength without control was not strength at all. It was danger. True power was in holding the spear and not throwing it, in clenching the fist and then opening it, in walking away when the body screams to stay and fight. After the blood dried and the tribe sat in silence, the elders spoke not only of laws and signs, but of the heart, of how every man carries a beast inside, and how the strongest man is not the one who feeds it, but the one who starves it. A new kind of courage was born, courage that lived not in the arm, but in the will. The kind that said, I feel the fire, but I will not let it burn my brother. This strength didn't make noise, it didn't show itself in battle or in the hunt. It showed when a man stepped back from anger, when he swallowed his pride, when he let another go first. These were small things, quiet things, but they became the mark of the truly strong. Children began to watch for it, not just who could lift the heaviest stone, but who could walk away from a fight, who could listen, who could forgive. The tribe began to change, not just in rules or in signs, but in what we honored. We still needed hunters, still needed brave warriors. But now we saw that without control, without choice, those warriors could become destroyers. The fire in the chest had to be tamed, not put out, but held, guided. Not every hand that could strike should. Not every anger should be answered. Strength became more than power. It became peace.